Welcome back to a very special final recording of Final. Of course, now I've said that it's cursed. Final recording of Prey. I want to go through the research here and read all of these. Some of them are longer than others. I think some of them are quite short. But is there anything else I also need to... Should have gotten all of these at some point or another. But yeah, let's go through the research. Should we go from bottom? We'll go from bottom. Mimic. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name Mimic. Scientific name Typhon cacoplasmus. One of the first Typhon discovered during the Verona 1 incident in 1960, mimics are capable of imitating nearby objects. During incident case whatever, it was observed that mimics use other living organisms as a reproduction medium, killing their prey in the process. Oh, okay. Well, that's information we didn't really have clarified this whole time. In accordance with the Poberg Protocol, mimic specimens are not to be released in environments with a containment rating of less than S4. Morgan's notes. Imitation power seems limited to objects roughly the mass of the mimic itself. Could the psychoscope be modified somehow to detect hidden ones? Get to high ground and immobilize with glue cannon. Phantom. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name Phantom. Scientific name Typhon anthrophasmus. Phantoms are not wholly alien. Created by weavers using human remains, phantoms have been known to exhibit human-like neural patterns at times. But as noted in observation log, whatever, while phantoms may also attempt to reproduce human phrases, they do not appear to retain any form of actual speech or human comprehension. Due to the specimen's explosive speed, phantoms must be subdued or enclosures purged before attempting to enter. Morgan's notes. Use glue to stop them down. Slow them down. Bleh. Brain. Use glue to slow them down. Telekinetic projectiles pack a big-ass punch, but can be dodged. Better to get in close and personal. Tracking bracelets on them are still active. Science operator. Excerpt from TranStar operator brochure. In the world of scientific progress, nothing is more important than accuracy and safety. This is why all TranStar laboratories are equipped with Sybil 495 science class operators. The latest in TranStar's line of operators, the science operator combines unprecedented access to TranStar scientific databases with two highly customizable utility arms to make an unrivaled laboratory assistant. Morgan's notes. Can be found floating around Psychotronics. Helps restore psi potential. Turret. Excerpt from the engineering database. Testing log, whatever. Product Eradicator Auto Turret V0.7.6. Observer, Franklin Good. The accuracy grade for this newest turret iteration is a significant improvement over the last generation, with a marked 17% increase. The jamming issues when transitioning to portability mode also seem to have been resolved. Stability is still shit. The psychoscope element works well, but I recommend tuning the sensitivity down somewhat. I've received complaints from Psychotronics that some of the prototypes we sent down for testing are a little high-strung. Morgan's notes. Easy to repair and upgrade. Base model is weak against some of the larger Typhon. Be careful around them with neuromods. Does not like any Typhon material around. Greater Mimic. Excerpt from Project Axiom archive. Researcher Lewis Sullivan. A preliminary observation reveals that specimen 14 is moderately larger than any of the other mimic specimens collected from the Kletka incident, but a far more fascinating aspect is what appears to be advanced mimicry ability. Specimen 14 has on numerous occasions demonstrated the capability of reproducing objects whose size and complexity far outstrip the abilities of any of the other specimens. What's more, many of these reproductions appear to be fully functioning. Morgan's notes. Can mimic turrets and operators. I never saw that. Will attempt to go directly for the face. Stay away and immobilize with glue. Corrupted operator. Excerpt from TranStar security records. Classification, equipment malfunction. Reporting officer Patricia Wang. Incident summary. I was called to the scene by Carlos Popinga, who requested assistance with another haywire operator near the Arboretum lift. Popinga explained he had been sent to fix the main lift, which had been malfunctioning. He claims his engineering operator appeared to malfunction upon approaching the lift and became hostile when Popinga attempted to deactivate it. I used an EMP charge to neutralize the operator. Popinga was sent to trauma with severe burns. The engineers down in hardware labs have already checked out the operator. They tell me it's been physically rewired and completely reprogrammed, just like the last 4 cases. This looks like sabotage to me. Morgan's notes. Corrupted by some sort of Typhon ability. Will try to incinerate you at close range. Keep away. Either freeze in place with glue cannon or knock out with EMP. Metal body shrugs off most rounds. It doesn't even make mention of the electric gun, but... Thermal Phantom. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name Thermal Phantom. Scientific name Typhon Anthrophasmus psychothermal. It is unclear at this time what prompts a weaver to invest additional resources in the creation of these more powerful phantoms. However, testing has revealed that these phantom specimens are much more durable and more dangerous than their weaker cousins. Addendum. As its name implies, this phantom manipulates thermal radiation. Infrared analysis showed it was able to radiate lethal levels of infrared energy as a defensive measure when threatened. Its most dangerous ability, however, is a spontaneous eruption of superheated plasma from a distance. Range is uncertain due to the small scale of the enclosures. Morgan's notes. Running up to this thing is a bad idea. You'll burn. Appears to have an interaction with the mimics. Can temporarily charge them with the same thermal radiation. Flaming mimics. Great. Mind-controlled human. Excerpt from TranStar security records. Classification containment breach. Reporting officer Corey Richard. Incident summary. I was on duty at about 1420 hours when I received a request from Dr. Hans Kelstrup for assistance in live exam. Upon arriving on the scene, I witnessed Dr. Trevor Young slamming lab instruments into some of the Typhon enclosures. When it became clear that he intended to break containment, I was forced to discharge my stun gun to subdue him. During my subsequent interview with Dr. Young, he seemed immensely distraught and unaware of my presence unless I came too close, whereupon he would turn violent. He has been turned over to the trauma team and placed in quarantine for his and others' safety. Morgan's notes. Connected to the Typhon telepaths. Should avoid getting too close. Triggers a strong kinetic blast that knocks out psi abilities. Ends up killing them. Stun gun might take them out long enough to sneak past. Might be able to free them from Typhon control somehow. Not that I was able to find. You know, in fairness, I don't know that I ever tried the null wave grenades on them. I wonder... I saved 22 people, it said. I wonder how many people... What's the maximum number of people you can save? And I know there were a bunch of people in the cafeteria that I knocked out, and then when I came back the next time, they were gone. But it's not clear what happened to them. Human. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name human. Scientific name Homo sapiens. Humans, like most mammals, possess a low natural psychoactive potential. Attempts to alter brain function through artificial means are usually temporary at best, or harmful and addictive at worst. The addition of the redacted, derived from the Typhon organisms, temporarily weakens the elasticity of human neuron connections and allows for the addition of new, synthetic neurons to catalyze changes in the subject's brain. Removal of this serum will cause the human body to reject new neurons and connections, effectively resetting the brain back to its original state. This process may result in memory loss and other as of yet undiscovered side effects. Etheric phantom. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name, etheric phantom. Scientific name, Typhon anthrophasmus psychoetheric. It is unclear at this time what prompts a weaver to invest additional resources in the creation of these more powerful phantoms. However, testing has revealed that these phantom specimens are much more durable and more dangerous than their weaker cousins. Addendum. Of particular note is the etheric phantom, which produces a particulate cloud that is highly toxic and disruptive to normal matter. The phantom is capable of manipulating this particulate to create a duplicate of itself for short periods, as demonstrated in test log whatever. Please note that in addition to standard purge procedures required for phantom study, any enclosure used to house an etheric phantom must have its atmosphere cycled. Morgan's notes. Prefers close combat. Given the chance, will split into a weaker duplicate. Glue down or use null wave to stop this. Try to attack from a distance. Avoid ether clouds. Weaver. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name, Weaver. Scientific name, Typhon geniocratus. Along with mimics, weavers were some of the first Typhon encountered near the Verona 1. As observed in in larger mimic populations, one mimic will be chosen via an as yet unknown mechanism to undergo a specialized metamorphosis. The chosen mimic is stung repeatedly by the others, triggering a rapid change, resulting in a new Typhon geniocratus, or weaver. Weavers appear to be central to the Typhon ecology, largely as vectors for production for some of the other species, as well as the substance known as coral. Morgan's notes. Prefers to avoid direct fights. Watch out for cystoids. Protected by a shield that floods attackers with a terror effect when struck. Glue ineffective while shield is up. It's a little too fuzzy for me to ever have figured out that there was a shield. I don't know if it's all the way around it. There is that yellow aura around it, but if there's a weak point and a strong point, or it only covers one side or something, I didn't notice. Engineering operator. Excerpt from TranStar operator brochure. Designed with precision craftsmanship for the dangerous vacuum of space, few utility robots can measure up to the TranStar Kobold 410 engineering class operator. Equipped with 2 gene sense manipulators and a swappable utility arm with a full array of tools, there's little the engineering operator can't fix. For more heavy-duty work, each engineering operator comes standard with industrial-grade omni-navigational systems capable of deftly maneuvering cargo containers in zero-G environments. Morgan's notes. Can be found wandering the station, especially on the lower decks. Good for patching up holes in my suit. Voltaic Phantom. Error. Unknown Typhon organism. No entries found. Please contact Dr. Hans Kelstrup, Director of Psychotronics. Morgan's notes. Never created in the lab until now. Weaver's abilities must be adapting. Electromagnetic fields disrupt everything around it. Electrocutes anything dumb enough to get close. Like the thermal, keep as far away as possible. Looks like it can supercharge mimics too. Cystoid Nest. Excerpt from Project Axiom Archive. Researcher Louis Sullivan. The outer layer of each cystoid nest appears to be made of an exceptionally thin layer of the same material that makes up most Typhon. Indeed, the nest appears to be just as fragile as the cystoids themselves, making it less of a protective structure and more like a living mine. It's possible that the Weaver uses these to mark and even defend its territory from any kind of intruder. Initial scans reveal they are constantly leaking lethal levels of radiation. Morgan's notes. Steer clear unless you want radiation sickness or a swarm of cystoids after you. Cystoid. Excerpt from Project Axiom Archive. Researcher Louis Sullivan. It's fortunate the Weaver produces so many of these because keeping cystoids alive for long outside of those nests has proven to be exceptionally difficult. Despite the lack of any visible sensory organs, each cystoid seems capable of detecting us through unknown means, detonating on proximity. If we can figure out what it uses to see, we may be able to find a way to blind it long enough to get a closer look. Morgan's notes. Attracted to movement. Throw something to distract them. Try to group them up to take them out with fewer shots. Releases a burst of radiation on death. Technopath. Excerpt from the engineering database. Filed by Carlos Popinga. It took forever, but repair to Arboretum airlock doors are finally complete. I think someone's been tampering with the electronics up there. When I popped open the control box, the whole thing looked like someone had built it. Had been at it with a soldering iron. Just a bunch of crossed wires. Stuff that's not even supposed to be in there. The programming was all wonky too. I had to wipe it clean and reinstall. I'll have to bring up an engineering operator to clean up the rest of this. I'm filing a report with security about this too. We have enough junk malfunctioning around here. Morgan's notes. Takes control of nearby tech. If this thing gets a hold of turrets, you're dead. Shrugs off glue. Prefers to keep away from enemies. Stun or null wave it to get in close. Telepath. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name, telepath. Scientific name, Typhon psychocratus. Did I skip the... No, there's no name for this one. The telepath is considered to be one of the most dangerous known Typhon. Capable of psychically controlling weaker-willed organisms and even people, it is almost impossible to contain for further study. Warning. Please note that subsequent to incident case whatever, the creation/containment of telepath-class specimens is no longer permitted. All personnel entering Psychotronics are required to wear a psychoscope in addition to regular safety equipment. Morgan's notes. Power's not just limited to mind control. Watch out for the homing spheres. Can emit a powerful wave that nullifies all other psychic abilities around it. Getting too close will get you mangled by another powerful blast. Glue doesn't seem to work well. Should keep away from it. Stick to long-range weapons or a null wave device. What long-range weapons, Morgan? We don't have any of those. We have medium-range weapons, which are technically short-range weapons because it's a video game and so they can't be, realistic. Medical operator. Excerpt from TranStar operator brochure. A vast anatomical database coupled with a top-of-the-line compact surgical toolset makes the TranStar Pyramid Class 490 medical series operator the finest in automated healthcare, rivaling even the most skilled surgeon. Patients concerned with safety and privacy can also rest assured. With its patented Panacea Governor technology, the TranStar Medical Operator is programmed to be minimally invasive and fully discreet. This latest iteration in TranStar technology also boosts an increased 98.2% diagnosis accuracy rating, as well as the introduction of a bedside manner protocol designed to improve rapport with patients. Morgan's notes. Most medical facilities on station have these in the operator dispensers. Can handle just about any trauma. If only they didn't tell stupid jokes. Poltergeist. Excerpt from Psychotronics database. Common name Poltergeist. Scientific name Typhon dysmorpha. Poltergeists are not a normal part of the Typhon ecology. Instead, they appear to be a result of a rare mutation that occurs in less than 5% of phantom genesis cases. Really? Because they seem just about as common as all of the other special Typhon. The poltergeist is the only known Typhon to possess the ability to render themselves invisible, undetectable even to psychoscope scanning. The exact mechanism is unknown at this time, as their limited numbers make adequate study difficult. Please note that any enclosure used for phantom genesis studies must be subjected to a full purge to avoid overlooked poltergeist specimens. Morgan's notes. Prefers to ambush prey. Uses psychokinetic action to throw objects. Stunted legs make it slow. Use a Typhon lure to help detect it or wait for it to attack. I didn't think about the Typhon lure. It doesn't say anything about how to kill it, which, the only... I guess you could hack scientific operators or engineering operators, whichever one it is. I think it's the scientific operators, to spray them with flame, but there's no other fire options. So the Q-beam is really your best bet. Nightmare. Error. Unknown Typhon organism. No entries found. Please contact Dr. Hans Kelstrup, Director of Psychotronics. Morgan's notes. The Typhon response is an anomaly in their ecology. Something that's like them, but isn't. Me. Only purpose seems to be to hunt me down. Seems unstoppable. Supplementary notes. Psychic terror field can punch through psychoscope shielding. Appears to be resistant to most forms of physical damage. Energy weapons or psi abilities might work. If all else fails, run. It's not that resistant to physical damage. I mean, it's got a lot of... Well, I don't know that I ever tried the Q-beam on it. Still, I don't think I want to stand there with the Q-beam. It's way too fast and way too dangerous. Side note, the item that I was talking about, the psychotronic transistor, that's the one you're supposed to, apparently, you can go install that. You're supposed to get when you pick that up off the satellite, you get a mission from January to go outside and put it on a different satellite. And then apparently you can either call or dismiss the nightmare, which is fascinating. I don't really know why that's the way it is or why I didn't get it, but yeah, that's that. Coral node. Excerpt from Project Axiom Archive. Researcher Louis Sullivan. Out of all the samples recovered from the Verona 1 site, none have proved as perplexing as the coral. It's unclear at the moment whether this is some sort of new Typhon species or something as simple as waste material from the weavers. Preliminary research shows a surprising similarity to neural networks, but further study is warranted. Raw scan data summary. Microscopic elements demonstrate strong correlation between patterns of connections within the coral and connections of volunteers, employees, and guests found in TranStar database. Recommend exhaustive pattern matching. Early conjecture. The psyche of Typhon victims is recreated or stored within the coral. Purpose unknown. Raw scan data summary. Macro-level analysis of the coral also shows resemblance to a neural network, like a vast disembodied nervous system. Evidence of increasingly frequent and rapid signaling between elements, as well as broadcasting neotic signatures outside itself. Requesting exhaustive database comparison. Error, deep storage server not responding, deep storage server not responding. Remote connection timed out. Manual upload required. Morgan's notes. One big Typhon communication beacon. But who is it calling? So, that's interesting. If they're storing people, it does come back to what I was talking about some episodes ago about the potential of if the presence of the Typhon is a foregone conclusion, then is it fair to consider the possibility that it is not evil, but merely, it doesn't want to destroy us so much as integrate us into some sort of hive mind, like I had said before, or other form of consciousness. And this seems to support that to some extent. Military operator. Excerpt from TranStar operator brochure. The NCN-9 black box military operator is the world's most advanced unmanned multi-role fighter. Armed with state-of-the-art mag-directed energy weapon and an Omni navigation system, navigation systems, the military operator is never short on firepower. From assault operations to security detail, the innovative synthetic hyperdynamic neural network ensures the military operator is quick to respond to developing and dangerous situations. Morgan's notes. TranStar has been covering their tracks about these. Don't want to look like an arms tech company. They're probably wired into Talos 1's security system. Could track me using the station's security rosters. Might be a way to get rid of my tracking bracelet. And finally, the Apex Tendril. Error. Unable to connect to Psychotronics database. No entries found. Please contact Dr. Hans Kelstrup, Director of Psychotronics. Morgan's notes. A tiny part of the Apex. Intent on devouring everything in its path. Attracted to movement. No way to permanently kill these. Use null wave or Q-beam to beat them back. Well, I could do a long dissection of what I've read and what I've talked about before in this game about how it does and doesn't succeed at being a horror game or a science game or a mystery game or all these other things. But I think I'd be beating a dead horse, and I think I've said it more thoroughly and concisely elsewhere. I really like this game. I think it's got some pretty overt flaws, and it's definitely buggy. But aside from that, it's really very good.
Solely to blame.
No, not right now, Elazar. Yeah, I guess this is going to be the last video. So some people probably won't have bothered to watch this video or the last like 3 or whatever. But if you came this far, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. If you've had your own experience with Prey, whether similar or different, please leave me your thoughts. I'm very curious. It's an interesting game, and I'll probably end up going back to it and playing through it in different ways, and in ways that don't take me, like 14 months? Wait, something like that. More than that, I think, to play. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've been the Social Solipsist. See you guys for something different next time.